reality TV. My wife and I, we go to Southern California every year for vacation, and it's funny that you see all these $1 million listing and all these different reality TV shows, and it's funny to see some of the stuff that happens on the show, and we'll have clients and consumers contact us and say, hey, does this really go on? What I tell people is use some common sense. I mean, do you really think it goes on? It probably does not. It is TV. Period. And I've seen some of them where one of the guys got he's skinny dipped in an open house pool. You've had him get into these crazy arguments, and does stuff like that happen? Very rarely, but I think the important thing for consumers to understand is, not to believe everything you see on TV, not to believe everything you read on the internet, really kind of get some solid advice, because it's certainly, not as it makes it out to be. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't shows like on HGTV, for example. They have some great shows about how to help you stage your home and how to help you design it, and some of it is realistic, but there's a lot of the kind of meat and potatoes of what happens in a real estate transaction cut out because it isn't sexy for TV to show you typing on a computer, preparing a HUD statement, or whatever it is. That isn't as exciting as some of the stuff that happens. But it's interesting to watch, but it's still TV. It's reality, but it's not realistic.
Yeah, one of the things that I watch them say, they'll come back and they'll say, "Oh, your house passed home inspection." And
there's no such thing as passing home inspection, right?
Yeah.
Home inspection report,
right.
and there's no such thing as
there's
passing.
always stuff, always.
And again, and I don't know the legalities or the processes in other states. I mean, I know Florida like the back of my hand, but in California, maybe they do have some sort of, you never know. I mean, maybe they do have to have some sort of, county or state, or you never know. I highly doubt it, but unless it's a new home, then maybe they were talking code inspection, but usually that's not the case. We're talking about a lived-in, home, and a past home inspection, and and it's funny because that's what they have to say or do to make TV sexy, to get people to watch it. But it's so when we go out to California, we're real estate people, so we like to look at houses, and we go on the celebrity homes tours, and we see all the celebrity homes, and it's funny, you'll run into celebrities. Like it's not uncommon. Like we saw Lisa Kudrow, the lady from Friends, at a restaurant. We saw Dr. Phil, like right up close and personal, and it's kind of neat to see that kind of stuff. But then, the reality TV aspect, it's basically turned real estate agents and brokers into TV stars,
right?
And it's it's funny how the article talks about how. I read an article this week about one of the guys on $1 Million Listing New York, about how he's got like groupies and people following him around, and almost like stalking the guy and stuff.
Well, the shows make it like the transaction is about the agent. It's really not. It's about the buyer and the seller. But for the sake of TV, that's what they do. And I'm sure, Andrew, you've probably seen this before as well. I know I have. I've seen situations where buyers and sellers are agreeable to things, but sometimes agents, I don't know if they want to prove their self-worth or negotiate for the sake of negotiating sometimes. I've just seen little tiny things come up that are ultimately meaningless. And you wonder sometimes how much these shows have played into things like that. And for the most part, like I said, most of the people out there are wonderful, and they get it, and they're about their buyers and sellers. But every now and then you see that, it's kind of.
Well, and again, I even read, like in the article, talked about how like one of the guys that's perceived on TV as kind of being obnoxious, but in person, his clients rave about him. They're like, look, that's his TV like thing, but he ain't like that in real life.
One of them got booted out of their agency, I heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then on the other side of it, a lot of brokers, a lot of owners of companies, and even some of the corporate level real estate companies are coming out and almost really frowning upon it, almost preventing it in independent contractor agreements without their approval and their consent, because they don't want some guy, they don't want you going out skinny dipping in someone's pool and harming their branding and reputation. So there's hold harmless agreements and things like that get put into place where, like, look, we don't want you going out and doing that kind of stuff. We want you to present a professional demeanor, and some of the shows don't necessarily present that, and there's a lot, National Association of Realtors, Florida Association of Realtors, a lot of them spoke out against these shows as being like, hey, look, they give our industry a black eye.
Absolutely.
They misinform the consumer.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more scripted than they let on.
I think so.
They'll play something out and say, for filming, let's go back and do that again, but this time we're going to twist it.
Right.
Make it more interesting.
This time you say they passed the home inspection. Instead of saying, we got your home inspection report, let's look it over.
Obviously I'm not a realtor, but for those that are listening, we work with a substantial amount of realtors, and I can tell you firsthand, that is not how it is.
No.
At all whatsoever. It is not.
No. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's an absolute, made for TV.